On the farm. Oh, on the way it was so much fun. They talked about what they had to be thankful for. They sang songs. They told jokes. Oh, they had such a good time. The 2-hour drive just went just like that. It was nothing. They were there, and when they got there, there was Grandma and Grandpa all ready to welcome them. And the big farm dog, Brutus. Now, Charlie and Sarah loved that dog. They had known him since he was just a pup. And now here he was, such a big dog, and they could hardly wait to see him. Well, they got there. They couldn't wait to show their friends around the farm. Now Charlie and Sarah had been on the farm many, many times, but their friends had not. So they took them over to the chicken coop, and they showed them how the chickens, pecked around. They took them over where the hogs were, and oh my land, that was impressive. And Red said, I've never seen a pig like that before. They took them out and showed them where the goats were. Then they took them to the barn, and Preston tried his hand at milking a cow and decided, I don't think this is for me, someone else can do this. But he tried. But the thing that Charlie wanted to do most of all was to take his friends on a hike up to the very top of Shadow Mountain. And it was right behind the farmhouse. Now, boys and girls, it wasn't really a mountain, but it was a very large hill. And they always called it Shadow Mountain. You could get to the top in about an hour of hiking. Now, Charlie and Sarah had been up there many times. Sometimes they went with Grandpa, sometimes they hiked up with their dad, sometimes just all by themselves they hiked up. But Charlie couldn't wait to take his friends. Up at the very top of the mountain, there was a little one-room cabin, and Grandpa had built that cabin himself when he was just a young man. And so, the next morning, as soon as the rooster crowed, early in the morning, everybody was up and out and had a big farm breakfast. And Charlie went to Grandpa and said, Grandpa, do you think it would be okay if today we would hike up the mountain? We could be back in 2 or 3 hours, lots of time before dinner. And so do you think this is a good time to do it right now? Well, Grandpa said, I guess so, Charlie. I don't know why not. You can be back in plenty of time. And he said, and you know something? He said, I was up there about a week ago, and I put a bag of candy bars in one of the cupboards, and when you guys get up there, you can have them. And he says, why don't you take Brutus along with you? He needs to stretch his legs, and he'll be good company for you on the trail. And he said, guys, just take it slow and easy. You don't have to break any records, just because he says, I don't want you running on the trail. There's a lot of loose stones up there at this time of the year especially. So just hike up sure and steady and you'll get there in lots of time. So they decided they would, and Charlie said to Sarah, would you like to go with us, Sarah? We're going to go up to the cabin. She said, not today, not today. I've just got so much to do. Why, we're going to make pies this morning, and someone's got to get that turkey in the oven. And so it was decided just the boys would go by themselves. And so they started out. Oh, boys and girls, nothing could be better. Charlie was with his best friends. It was Thanksgiving morning. It was a beautiful day. They started on this hike, and they were having such a good time, and they were singing and laughing and talking. And Charlie said to his friends, this is the best Thanksgiving I can ever remember, ever. Isn't this neat? Well, pretty soon it got a little bit steeper, and they were huffing and puffing, but they were still trudging up that mountain and having such a good time. All of a sudden, Red, who was in the very back, said, Charlie, look, I think I see the cabin. He said, I'm going to get there first and get those candy bars. And he started running. Well, the guys weren't going to let him get there first, and so they all started running, and Brutus started running, and they were trudging up there. as fast as they could to see who could get there first and get there and get the candy bars. Well, what Grandpa said would happen did happen. There were lots of loose stones. Charlie hit a loose stone, lost his balance, and he tumbled head over heels and went down flat and hard right on the trail. And he grabbed his ankle and he started moaning and groaning. Oh, my ankle! Oh, I hurt my ankle! And the guys, they run back and they said, Charlie, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? And he says, I think it's broken. Oh, it hurts so much, I can't even stand up. And they said, roll over on your back, Charlie. We're going to get you up, and we're going to get you up to the cabin. We'll get you there. It'll be all right. But you know what? He couldn't even walk on it. He couldn't even put any pressure on it at all. And he says, it's no use, guys. I can't do it. I can't get up to the cabin. And he says, and I can't get back down the mountain. What are we going to do? Oh, what are we going to do? Well, the guys were thinking about, what are we going to do? They couldn't carry him down the mountain. Brutus couldn't carry him down the mountain. So Charlie said, look, guys, go back and get my dad and bring him up here. He'll know what to do, and he can help me get down. Well, they didn't want to leave him, and Red said, Charlie, I can't just leave you here all by yourself on the trail. What if a mountain lion comes? What if a bear comes? And he says, Red, there are no bears and there are no mountain lions on this hill. He said, now, hurry, but don't run, but get on down and get my dad. Well, they decided they would. There was nothing else they could do. So there Charlie lay, waiting and waiting and waiting. And the longer he waited, the more his foot was hurting. He couldn't get in any comfortable position, and Brutus, he stayed right there with him, and oh, was he glad to have Brutus with him. But you know, the longer the guys were gone, he noticed that his ankle was turning a funny color, and it was getting real big, and it hurt. And it really did hurt a whole lot, and he was kind of moaning and groaning there, and Brutus was trying to comfort him, and pretty soon, though, he heard some noise on the trail, and sure enough, it was his dad and his grandpa. And his dad said, Charlie, oh, Charlie, what happened to you? Did you trip on something? Well, you know what? They had to confess that they were doing just what Grandpa told them not to. They were running on the trail. And sure enough, he did slip and he got hurt. And Grandpa says, well, Charlie, he says, you know, I told you that for a good reason. He said, now you disobeyed and look what happened here. Well, you know what? They got Charlie up on a stretcher that they had brought up, and they carried him all the way down the trail, all the way back again. And Charlie, now that his dad was there, he was really moaning and groaning. And he says, oh, Dad, he says, it hurts so bad. It just, oh, I know it's broken. I'll never be able to walk on it again, Dad. It hurts so bad. And his dad said, just simmer down, Charlie. When we get down, we'll take you to the clinic. We'll see if it's broken, and we'll go from there. Well, they did take him to the clinic, and the doctor said, Charlie, you know, you're very, very lucky. You could have broken your ankle so easily. It's not broken, but it's a very bad sprain. So he said, I want you to go to bed and stay there for several days. Don't be walking around on that foot. Well, Charlie didn't like that at all. And oh my goodness, there was no end to his complaining. And he laid on the bed and he said, oh, this is the worst.